All right, so in my last video, I had a ST link like this, and it was broken. And the linear regulator was fried on it, and we fixed that. So if you want to go watch that, great. But after I got it fixed, then I wanted to make an improvement on it. So I really like these ST links. I mean, they're very fast programmers, just nothing. I mean, it's easy to use. You got pins, your wires come out, no problem. But I don't like that this is USB-A, and so it either plugs into your computer or you plug it into like a docking station. And so I don't like that. So what I decided to do is figure out a way to remove this and put like a USB mini B, I believe it's called. Then if you want to just plug in a normal cord, you can, a normal USB mini cord. So this definitely made things easier. One thing I will say is I wasn't able to use the original case it came in. So first I want to show you what the end product looked like. So here's the board I've been programming here at home. And right here is the case that I 3D printed for it. And we'll talk a little bit about that and why I had to 3D print. But inside there, so inside there is my mini B, and I can plug it in just fine. So it worked out pretty good, and the conversion over, but basically we'll talk about the steps. So step one was make a little daughter board so that if I remove this, I could put the little circuit board kind of inside right about here. And on that circuit board was the mini B. So step one was basically remove this jack. Step two, take the little mini USB board that had a mini USB jack on it and put it right here and solder it on. I'll show you how I made the board, and then I'll show you how we made the 3D case. So the trick to making the USB board was that on the one side that the little mini USB jack was going to be on, obviously I needed pads for that, so it sat on there and could be soldered on. Surface mount, no through-hole parts. And the reason why no through-hole parts could be used is because on the exact other side of the board, I had to put pads that matched up to where the USB-A pads had been. So when I removed the USB-A, there was 4 pads there for ground, V-bus, ground VB-bus, data minus, and data plus. So then with data minus, data plus, ground V-bus, I used those same pads the pads matched up exactly when it was right on top of it. And then I used some solder paste and put it in the oven, and then it was basically the solder paste bridged the gap, a very thin gap obviously because the boards are flat and the pads are almost right on top of each other. And so then after I made this board, I quickly realized that the case was not going to fit. It wasn't much by much that it wasn't fitting. I needed about 50 thousandths more to get the case on. But because I couldn't get the case on, I gave up that idea and made my own 3D printed extrusion. And basically it's a tube, and then I made a cap. The cap was harder because the cap had to fit the USB-A mini exactly right so that you don't have extra big hole. It wasn't just the hole wanted to be a perfect square hole to fit the jack. But I thought it was a really nice upgrade. Now you could buy one of the more expensive ST links or like the genuine ST links. I believe STM basically published their source code, and so people could make their own ST links if they wanted to. So these are basically like cheap versions, but I like them because they're small. They don't take up a lot of space, and you can just throw one in your pocket, go over, program something, whatever. So after I had it modeled in CAD, I wanted to actually print these things. So this was version 1. This was version 2. I made version 3. And these were basically just different lengths, and maybe a little bit of size change. But other than that, the main thing I need to do is change the size. So if you see, this was the original. It just wasn't big enough. So if you compare like that, it just wasn't, the actual board would not fit in there. So I created 3 different versions of those, and then I created different end cap sizes and shapes. Version 3, version 2, version 1, lots of different versions to get this exactly where I could plug this, put the board in, put the cap on, and then I'd have the USB coming in right there, and you can plug it in. So that's what I have here. USB is plugged in. I made a blue end cap, and then you can see the blue light there. So now we're ready to actually program this. And I'll show you how well it works. So if I hit the play button, you'll see the light starts blinking. And it's debugging and all that good stuff, programming it. And there you go. So it's kind of cool to me that, sure enough, light blinks, you get program all through a like modified board. Now I know it's not like super complicated or anything, but you know, it makes it easier to plug this in through a cable rather than getting a whole bunch of USB-A extender cables. I can just use this USB mini. So that's really nice. I really like that. So if you want to do something similar, or maybe this gives you ideas for other boards that are similar to this that have USB-A and you want to put USB-C or mini, I'd like to actually switch over to USB-C for my next project and try that. All right, that's all I have for today.